This video is going to be how to play crystal singing bowls, and we're going to talk about some basics surrounding these. There's a lot of nonsense, I'll say right off the bat, that people are teaching and sharing and passing on that you don't need. You got to disregard all of that. Now, the first thing you'll notice is I'm not wearing a special outfit. I don't have a hat on or special clothing. I'm not stepping into a character to do this. The beauty of sound and of the crystal bowls is that they do the work. The magic is in the sound all by itself. Everything else you have to add in, or you have to believe, or you have to participate in for it to create this kind of mystique that people have. Basically, what I suggest to people is try to find 2, maybe 3 bowls that work together. You don't need 7, you don't need 12. You don't need bowls with like the magic sauce. You want things that sound really good together. And 3 is a nice number. You can create a triad if you want. You don't necessarily need to know music theory, but that certainly helps. And I talk about this in a lot of my videos, that it's very, very important to put space in between your instruments, whatever it is that you play. Because you have all these instruments, you want to hear them and you want your audience to hear them, your clients to hear them. If you play them all together, sometimes it creates a chord, sometimes it just makes a whole lot of noise and you can't really distinguish between the sounds. So it's important, at least the way that I play, that you have a distinction and a space between the notes and the sounds that you're creating. Because the magic is in following that sound, allowing your mind to listen and pay attention to that before you bring in this. And you'll see they start to play off of each other, but only when you create space so the mind can recognize the difference between this sound and this sound. These silicone mouths are all the rage. I don't really care for them because I do a lot of tapping. Because I want to hear the decay in the sound. And I want to hear that sound disappear. And when you try to do it with one of these, it's very harsh. You hear the attack. I don't love it. There are instances that it's really nice for a rim play. For me, I would rather play with the suede. It's a much softer entry of the sound. And I know part of the reason these came to be was people were complaining about suede and them being vegan. So the solution to that was that they tell you that it's cruelty-free suede. When I'm playing, I like the sounds to be soft. I don't want to bring them up to ear-piercing levels. The 5th octave bowls can be ear-shattering at times, and I don't think that's peaceful or meditative. I want the sounds to suspend the audience and the listener. You'll never hear me sing with the bowls, because I wouldn't do that to anyone. But I will let the sounds bounce back and forth. You hear that entry is kind of harsh. And if you really listen, you can hear the sound of it. The suede is much quieter. But it does take a little bit more finesse. I like to have different sound characters when I'm putting bowls together or I'm playing. This is a tall bowl, they would call it. So the sound it feels different. This is more of a normal. The sound structure is pretty consistent with the size and thickness of the wall, but there's definitely a different depth when you get into the taller bowls, and you really hear it when you're chiming them. And obviously the sound projects differently from them. There's this underlying theme in the sound community, and I believe I know where it came from, that you're supposed to crescendo the sound and bring people up to the point where they're almost disturbed. So you bring up their stuff and you shake it out of them, and then they can deal with it. I think that's the dumbest thing you could do if you're trying to do meditative or sound healing music. Again, to reiterate, I think the sounds should suspend your audience. And they should be in a place where they can trust there's going to be no surprises, no attacks on their nervous system, no assaults on their ears. They're safe to just let their breath out. And then their mind focuses on the sounds. You can get into the different properties of the bowls. These are Crystal Tones Alchemy bowls. I have about 140 of them for sale. And I try to avoid that with clients and people selecting bowls, because I think that's very subjective. And there can be an underlying sense of you're doing this to your clients. They're putting this on them, rather than you bringing them to that space. And the silence in between is very important. And if you're not sure how much silence and space you need, record yourself and listen back. In the beginning, you'll find that every time you listen, you've attacked too quickly. You jumped to the next note. And you didn't put enough space in between there, and that space creates a tension and a suspense. And the suspense and the arrival of the new sound creates a sense of awe. And that sense of awe is what we're trying to achieve. Always gentle. And the alchemy bowls are nice. They're free from the grinding sounds of the frosted bowls. And the sound layers are much more complex. And it's much harder to make this style of bowl shriek. It kind of prevents you from hitting that really loud space. last crystal ball meditation I listened to from someone else. I was very grateful that I brought earplugs, because the sounds were aggressive and they were being forced on me. It did not invite me to listen or to relax or to be enchanted by the atmosphere. It was very much an assault on the nervous system. And of course, the size of the room dictates the volume that you want to play at. But these are very much a close, personal experience. It's important to be aware of your surroundings in the room. It's what I call the gong fu. You want to know, are your sleeves making noise? Are your shoes squeaking? Is there extra sounds in the room that are going to interfere? Air conditioning, heat, etc. Traffic. And you want to play around that. Because anything that doesn't fit in this fabric that you're creating is going to stand out. And once it stands out and someone notices it, they are changing their awareness. And they're no longer in that hypnagogic state that you've provided for them. If you have any questions or you're looking for crystal balls, feel free to reach out.